Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 16, 17, 18 of Ace of the Diamond, Season 2. We are in the midst of the Ugumori versus Seidou game. I'm recording this a little bit ahead, so tomorrow, actually, episodes 13, 14, and 15 will come out on Patreon. But for the holiday season, I'm recording a little bit ahead with this series, and so, yeah. I'm pretty excited to see what happens now because we're still in the 7th inning and Furuya's been doing really good. I'm actually really proud of our boy Furuya. He has made it 7 innings and hasn't tired out yet, and it looks like he's getting his second wind. I'm really excited about that. But Ugumori, they're not to be trifled with. And I appreciate the comments that everybody was saying back with the Inashiro versus Ugumori game. I do agree, Zero on Patreon had commented that it really was Inashiro's game to lose. I think if Inashiro had been on their game, top of their A game, and May had been more of the captain he needed to be, and had rallied the players together to where they weren't making selfish plays, but were working more as a team, then yeah, I think they could have had a chance to beat Ugumori. But Ugumori's biggest benefit to them is that they're confident. They're really confident. And now their manager, he has got them on a tight ship, and he keeps everything going smoothly. Now is the anchor, but the heart of their team is Umemiya. Umemiya, anytime he's happy, the team gets excited. And now made the comment that as long as Umemiya was having fun and doing well, then they were okay. And I get such Raichi vibes from that. I get such foreshadowing because with Yakushi, Raichi was their gung-ho soul of the team player. And when Raichi caved under pressure, it caused them to lose. So the only thing I can think of is, I think that Seidou's going to beat Ugumori because they've got to go on to the next round. And we've gotten this foreshadowing with this guy with the bowl cut and the blue cardigan that's oh, what are you going to do, Umemiya? And so I get the feeling that Seidou's going to win. The question is how, right? Because they're trailing by 1 still. It's 7th inning, so they only have 2 innings left, potentially. And Umemiya and Ugumori are not giving up yet. And so I keep thinking that maybe Umemiya is going to slip up or something's going to happen, and that's going to cause them to lose. But I don't know how that's going to go down. So lots of questions. But we've got 3 episodes we're going to watch. I'm pretty excited. The first one is called Chain Reaction. I'm ooh, okay. All right. So the only thing I can hope for is that Furuya I'm fine if Furuya plays this whole game out. Sawamura got all of last game. He got his 5 innings where he shut down the team. It was really fun. I loved it. If Furuya can play out this game, sure, that would be great. But I don't know if it's going to happen or not, because even though Furuya seems like he's gotten past Umemiya's mind games from now, Miyuki's kind of snapped him back to reality, he's still first year, he still needs more experience, and I could see Umemiya luring him into another psychological trap again. But we'll have to see. So, in the meantime, we're going to watch these episodes. I'm pretty excited. So, let's do this, shall we? We are going to start episode 16 of Season 2 here, and we're going to do that in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Damn. It's been a while since we've had a cliffhanger. I'm not going to watch episode 19 yet. No, I'm not. So I'm sorry. We've got to end it on a cliffhanger. I mean, it's going to be a couple days before I watch the next set. So I'm going to be stuck with this cliffhanger too. Dang it. These episodes, they really drug out that last episode. I was let's do this. I think that's the first time in this series I felt like they drug it out a little bit. I was you're really wanting to make a cliffhanger out of this, aren't you? Aren't you? That's what I figured. And so they drug it out just a hair. And I was damn it, you are, aren't you? Yep, you're going to drag it out. This set of episodes is really, really good. I've got lots of notes. I've got more notes than I think I did last time. But my thing is, I don't dislike Furuya at all. I like Furuya. In this set of episodes, I really liked Furuya. It's funny because they joke that Sawamura is getting farther and farther from being a protagonist. I don't think so. It's almost with this set of episodes, we had dual protagonists, which maybe is that the mangaka's point, that their rivalry is them working together, them challenging each other and competing against each other, and that's the series, is that they make each other stronger. I definitely get that vibe. And you can't hate Furuya, because Furuya's not mean. He doesn't mean any ill will. It's like he has the same goal as Sawamura. I mean, he has different goals tied in with it, but he has the same goal as Sawamura, so you can't hate the guy for it. And Furuya's smile there at the beginning, I was like, I kind of agreed with Ochi for a while, up until episode 17, and then when he gave up all those runs, I was like, But I did agree with Ochi. Ochi, it's like he actively wants me to hate him in this series, because in episode 16, I kind of agreed with Ochi at the beginning. I was like, yeah, Furuya's doing really well. We don't want to take Furuya out unless he starts losing steam. And he kind of starts to do that in 17. And it's like, with this type of team and this pressure, I get why Ochi switched him out. And I agreed that they needed to switch him out, right? We got Higasa. We got him. He has a name now. The guy that looks like Tommy, but he has the fish face. He always looks like this. That's Higasa. Okay. Higasa's so sweet. I love it. Higasa, oh my gosh. So they were down by 5. I was wrong from the intro to this video. God, Ugumori was down by 5 and they got up to being down by 1. It's like, what do we do? Man. But they were so cheerful. They were so cheerful about it, and they were just easygoing. They had a plan, a system. They had faith. And we'll tie this back in episodes 17 and 18, but the idea that they can't see themselves losing. But the idea that they're not even concerned about the score right now. They're just having a good time, and they're following Now's plan. This team, what's funny is that they come across, and I've said this in the previous reactions, they come across like Yakushi as like Yakushi as being this offensive kind of blunt, like, we're just a bread and butter team. No, they play some psychological warfare games, and Now is like a mastermind. Now and Umemiya, the most OTP couple in this series so far. I say that because you can ship Miyuki and Sawamura. You can ship Sawamura and Wakana. You can ship Sawamura and Furuya. You can ship Miyuki and Furuya. You can ship Miyuki and Kuromochi. You can ship those characters, lots of characters. You can't ship Umemiya with anybody but Now. They are such an OTP. They may be my OTP of this series, Umemiya and Now. I want all the fanfics of them right now. I need them. So, yeah. But yeah, they are a psychological team. They manipulated the crowd to get them all on their side. And by the end of episode 16 to 17, I was kind of rooting for them. I was like, especially we got Now's backstory. I was like, I want these guys to win. And it's like, no, I don't. It's like, I love teams. And that's very much a Yakushi thing. I love teams that make you root for them even when they're the antagonist. Yakushi is one of those teams. I love Sonata. I love Raichi. I want them to win and do well. You just root for those characters. And this team's kind of like it too. I want to root for Ugumori, and I want to root for Umemiya and Gachan and Now. And they went through like 6 other players' names like we should have known them from the start. It's like, every time they did a player backstory and Now is encouraging them and the epic orchestra swelling came in, I was like, it's almost an inside joke at this point, right? Ever since Sakurazawa, it's like an inside joke when that beautiful orchestra comes in and then it just gets hard cut to the Jaws theme. It's almost a meta joke at this point. Man, this bowl cut. This blue-haired, bubblegum chewing bowl cut, who is basically Ochiai's son. If he is not related to Ochi, I will be very surprised. I don't like him. And I know it may be something that once we learn more about his character, I'll eat my words and put my foot in my mouth and be like, oh no, he's really a great character. No, he seems real cocky, and he seems super arrogant, and I say that about a lot of other pitchers. I know he's a pitcher. He's in the OP. He's got to be a pitcher. Our egoist pitchers. Mei is cocky and a diva. I guess the best word for Mei is he's a diva. He is very high maintenance. That's the word I'm looking for. Mei is high maintenance. It's not that he's cocky. It's not that he's arrogant. He is a high maintenance pitcher who thinks quite a lot of himself, and he has a chip on his shoulder. That's Mei. Sonata's a great pitcher. He's just a guy that's here to play, and he's doing great. He's the most like Sawamura, I think, in terms of personality. And then you have Mukai from the left, from Tato, and Mukai was cocky. He had the talent, but he didn't have the experience, and he was just cocky about how much talent that he had. This bowl cut kid seems arrogant, and he seems just like a prick. Like, all automatically. Him being like, just, I don't know. He gives me Ochi vibes, and they kind of have a similar, like, resting bitch face. So I'm like, are they related? I don't know. But, yeah, I love the Umemiya saying giving up is easy, but being strong means not giving up, because that would be the easy thing to do. And they go into Nao's, and then he talks about Nao, and when they got into his backstory, oh my gosh. But I do like that Miyuki is thinking of taking Furuya to the next level, because we can be petty about it. I could be petty about it. I could be like, oh, I don't want Furuya to succeed. I want Sawamura to get all the pitching because he's our protagonist. I could be like that. But they're on a team. We can't have the May thinking of one ace, one pitcher is going to lead the entire team, because look where it got them. And Miyuki understands that Seidou needs the best pitchers possible, and Furuya and Sawamura, they can make each other grow. They both have so much potential as pitchers, and Furuya's the ace right now, so we can't dispute it. He just needs to step up and get into his role. And so I like that Miyuki is wanting to take Furuya to that next level. And then we get into Nao's backstory. So I commented, I think, when we got introduced into Umemiya, that he reminded me a lot of Kuramochi. Man, Kuramochi in the OVA, with his backstory, he had the bleach blonde hair and he was a delinquent, and he was playing baseball and he was passionate about it. This is kind of like the Uno reverse of that, right? This is like the parallel universe of that, where Umemiya, he was a delinquent, had the bleach blonde hair, but he quit baseball. He quit baseball in junior high, and his first year of junior high, he quit baseball, and so he wasn't playing. He ran away from it. And then their second year of junior high, now has this accident where he's basically paralyzed and can't play anymore. And yeah, as soon as they started the backstory, I'm like, he was a player, he got paralyzed, he can't play anymore. And that shot of him crying on the bed saying, why me? I kept thinking it was like Real. If you don't know what Real is, Inoue, who's wrote Slam Dunk, the sports anime, he's writing a series that's current right now, and I've been reacting to it on Patreon, because I can't post the reactions on YouTube because of copyright, but I've been reacting to the manga on Patreon, and it's ongoing. But Real is about players who have had physical disabilities, and they come together to play wheelchair basketball, and it's an amazing series. It needs an anime. Why it's not been animated yet, I don't know. I would react to it in a second. It's so good. But Nao's backstory reminds me a lot of that, and the idea of him, Umemiya saying he's still fighting as the manager, and now constantly keeping a composed, happy face and supporting his teammates, telling them what they can improve. And when he told them all, he's like, I have a dream. We're going to go to nationals. I can't play, but I'm going to take you there as your manager. It's like, it's like a souped up version of Chris Senpai, right? And now, just knowing that he had to go through all that physical therapy, Umemiya's like, he's still fighting with everything that he's doing, and you can tell he wants to play, but he's wanting us. We have to fight for him. Since he can't be on the field, we have to fight for him. And I'm like, and that line by Umemiya where he's like, I'm just a chicken who left baseball and jumped on your bandwagon. And that calls back to him telling Furuya not to chicken out. And he's like, I'm supporting you now because that's all I can do. I was a coward, but you've given me strength. I'm like, the OTP vibes, y'all. It's just, I need it. I need it. So yeah, and I love that when he howls, they're like wolves. Ugumori howls, and the whole team does too. But yeah, they're getting the crowd on their side. The bowl cut kid, who's Ochiai's nephew or whatever, is sitting there with 3 cameras filming from different angles. I'm like, dude, you're taking this a little extreme. So I'm very curious to see. I still think that Seidou's going to win. I still think Seidou's going to win, right? I think that they're going to win. Barely. By the skin of their teeth, they're going to win. But the question is whether or not Sawamura is going to pitch them to victory, whether or not they're going to sub in Nori, or what's going to happen. But I feel like they're still going to win because they're going to face this bowl cut prick and see what's up with him. So yeah, I didn't realize too, I'm very until I started watching the show, I've never watched baseball in my life. I have no clue about any of the rules of baseball. Everything about baseball I have learned through this anime and through your comments. That's the only reason I've learned anything about baseball is from this anime and your comments. So I didn't realize that. I always kind of wondered this. I'm like, what if somebody gets hit with the ball on the field? Are they out? Is it like dodgeball? No, it is not like dodgeball. They're just automatically safe. You can't hit the runner with the ball. Good to know. Glad we covered that now in the second season. Glad we got to that point now. But yeah, we get down 5-8 by the end of episode 16. And that we can't lose mentality. Ugumori's mindset reminded me a lot of Inishiro's I can't imagine us losing. Like, it just reminded me in that moment of that similar mindset. And that makes me a little worried, but I'm like, no, they've got to win, right? Right? We're not even halfway through this season yet, right? Seidou's got to win. The fact that this show makes me question it should be a testament to this show, because we're 2 seasons in. We're like a season and a half almost in, and this show is still making me question whether or not our protagonists are going to win. That should be a sign. So yeah, episode 17, Shut Him Down. And I love that the whole time this has been going on, Sawamura has been this feral little gremlin, like looking around the stage being like, why are you murmuring? Like, you can tell he's very uneasy about all the pressure that's being applied from the crowd, which is good to know. But man, Furuya staying aggressive. I don't like to see our pitchers suffer. When Nori gets the self-loathing kicking in, I hate that for him. When Sawamura gets them damn eye bags, I want to like rip my hair out. And Furuya, when he gets all fatigued and worn out, I'm like, I hate seeing our pitchers, no matter which one they are, I hate seeing them suffer. So I was happy in this set of episodes to see Furuya being aggressive and keeping up his role as the ace. And Miyuki making the note that he's growing just like Sawamura. Right? It's so great to see our boys growing. Like from season 1 at the start where they both had so many issues that they were struggling with, and to see how far they've come just in a season and a half, it's like so sweet. But yeah, here's the really cool, crazy thing is that there's like a triangular link between Now, Miyuki, and Sawamura that I've noticed in this episode. And when Nao's talking about having high expectations of Umemiya, it comes right after Miyuki made the comment about Furuya growing and him having high expectations of Furuya. So the comment came right after that. And even though Nao's not the captain of the team technically, because he's not on the roster, I'm assuming Umemiya is the captain. Even though he's not technically the captain, his role as the manager is very much the anchor of the team, bringing everyone together. It's very much what Miyuki needs to do as captain. And it's kind of like Miyuki. If you notice in all the flashbacks, whenever Nao's talking to each individual players, he talks to them in a very distinct manner. Kind of like what Miyuki does. Like when Miyuki talks to Sawamura, he knows Sawamura's dense. Bless our boy's heart. He is dense. So he knows that, and Miyuki can be blunt. With Furuya, Miyuki knows he can be aggressive and be stern, and Furuya's not going to be like, he's not going to wilt. I think Sawamura has such a big heart that if Miyuki was really stern with him, I think Miyuki would like kind of wilt a little. But Furuya, he's so like stoic almost that Miyuki's like, I can yell at you and you can take it. Okay. But then with Nori, he's really soft and gentle. And that's kind of like how Nao is in the flashbacks. He treats each player differently. Like with the one player, he had like the evil grin and everything. Kind of reminded me of Ryo, Haruichi's brother. Kind of reminded me of him. But yeah, Nao is doing what Miyuki needs to do. Nao has become like this anchor and a sense of faith and goodwill that brings the team together and bonds them together. And that's what Miyuki needs to be as a captain, and he's just not there yet. So it's interesting. I also noted here that Gachan is basically Ugumori's version of Haruichi. He's very reliable. He like has his trademark stealing thing. He's very calm and cool under pressure. He reminds me a lot of Haruichi. And then the recognition of Sawamura and Furuya together. I absolutely loved that Sawamura was supporting Furuya and cheered him on. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I love that Sawamura and Furuya, I should have got a drink of water before I started watching this. My throat's dry. They recognize each other as good pitchers. And that competitive attitude allows them to grow as players. But man, that play by Haruichi and Kuromochi, I felt so bad. I'm glad Kuromochi's okay. That was just a fielding error. That was a really bad play that Haruichi just didn't get the ball back fast enough, and then the guy collided with Kuromochi right after he threw it, and then Zono couldn't get back to home plate fast enough. It was just a string of little errors, but those little errors amounted to them getting nearly tying the game with 7-8 at the top of the 8th. So I am glad Kateoka told Furuya, though, that it wasn't his fault. He's like, that was a fielding error. You couldn't have done anything about that. You did what you could. But again, now has that faith and goodwill that his team basically worships now. The team basically worships now. Now, obviously, Seidou is not going to do that with Miyuki. Now has his whole backstory, his connection to the team. The team, Ugumori all knew now was a great player, and they kind of gravitated towards him to begin with. But he just has that will that ties them together. And Miyuki just doesn't quite have that yet. But Sawamura has that, because I was so proud of Sawamura when he cheered Furuya on, when he told him that he's like, you're the ace. You've got to stay strong. And Miyuki's face, everybody's face, when he said that, it was like, our boy, I mean, yeah, sure, I'm sure he had ulterior motives wanting to get on the mound, but our boy supporting Furuya, that's like such growth. That's like the opposite of being petty, because there could be in another sports anime, in any other sports anime, Sawamura could be that type of player that doesn't cheer on Furuya, that is always nagging at Furuya and being like, get off the mound. But in that moment of him cheering him on, it's like, yeah, Sawamura knows how important Furuya is to the team, that they're playing as a team. And I'm like, all right. And so I like that Miyuki is being bold in this moment and making bold choices too as the catcher. And you can see Itsuki up in the stands getting inspired. Itsuki seeing how Miyuki's playing, and Itsuki is thinking of the strategies Miyuki must be thinking of in the moment. And I'm like, Itsuki, I want Itsuki to go back with all of his knowledge from this game and apply it and become a better catcher. I love Itsuki, and I want him to do better. And I want him to just throw it in Mei's face, because Mei's a diva and he deserves it. He can take it, right? Mei needs to grow too. So I wondered if maybe the rotation, obviously you have Nori as a reliever and a closing pitcher, but I wondered if maybe the rotation is key to it too, because Furuya has had like the most he's ever pitched is like going into the 8th inning. This is the most Furuya's ever pitched, but he didn't pitch at all in the last game. So I'm like, maybe the secret is that we just rotate them out. We let Sawamura pitch most of a game, and then we take him out and let Furuya pitch most of a game, and we just go back and forth with them, and if we throw in Nori when we need him, and do it that way. I wonder if that's it too. But yeah, you know that Furuya coming out in the 9th inning, as soon as they said Furuya was coming out in the 9th inning, I was like, Ochiai is going to bitch, and he did, surprising no one. But I like that Kateoka's like, a strong will is needed to go into this final, because yeah, the crowd's not on their side, the umpires are not on their side, everything is stacked against them socially, and then you have the game itself and Ugumori, the team itself. So he's like, Sawamura can handle it, and Miyuki like, yeah, okay. But yeah, I do agree that I disagree with Ochiai. Ochiai's like, oh, Nori could finish it. I'm like, Nori was really hard pressed against Tato. I'm like, no, I don't think Nori could do it. I don't know if Nori could do it. Sawamura needs to do it. That's the thing. Sawamura needs the experience. He needs the pressure. Ochiai's going on and on about how we have to raise Furuya as the ace, and Furuya needs the experience. Well, Sawamura needs the experience too if he's going to become the ace. So, and then episode 18, this guy's pretty good. It's going to be hard picking a thumbnail for this. It's going to be hard. I'm going to probably have to poll. It's going to be hard. I'm probably have to poll Discord or Twitter or something, because there's so many good shots from this episode. But yeah, the idea that Ugumori's like, we score as a team. That was the key difference between them and Inashiro. Inashiro was a group of individuals. Ugumori is the polar opposite. They are a team. They have Umemiya now at the head, but they are a team. There's not the one... I mean, Umemiya is obviously their captain, so he stands out naturally, but they're a team. They all have they're pretty balanced throughout, right? So yeah. The last inning, no pressure. Fuku. I like that Fuku makes the comment being like, outside pitches. Fuku's like, outside pitches, because Fuku-chan would only remember Sawamura from the Inashiro game that they faced and lost, and where Sawamura was only pitching inside. So that's really good to note that Fuku-chan's like, wait, what? Like, what's this? And so then, yeah, Sawamura didn't do the usual. Kuromochi was like, do the usual. Like Kuromochi was waiting on Sawamura to do the catch my balls, guys, and he didn't do it. He had a really cool fierce face. I liked the fierce face, but he didn't do the normal go get him move, which makes me worried. Made me a little bit worried going into this episode, and it still makes me worried. But you know what doesn't make me worried? The evil grinning between Miyuki and Sawamura. Because here's the thing. I feel a little bit jealous on Sawamura's behalf as a shipper, because when Miyuki was praising Furuya, I was like, oh, but Sawamura... Miyuki can praise Furuya and develop a good bond with Furuya, I'm sure, but I don't see that same chemistry that you see with Sawamura and him. When they were grinning evilly from the mound, being like, let's shut him up, I was like, nah, that's the chemistry. There it is. And even Harichi was like, why are you grinning? Why are you guys doing this? But it's so much pressure, and the idea that the umpires are being tough on Sawamura, it sucks. Because the calls, there's so many things. I feel like there's so many plays in this game that could have been outs, that could have been strikes, but the umpire just wasn't calling it because Ugumori's played the mind games and they've gotten the umpires on their side. And I appreciate the realism of it, because in actual games, yeah, it happens all the time. When I played basketball, there'd be tons of ref calls and you'd be like, that was clearly a foul. And they'd be like, oh. And so I can totally see it. But that shot of Sawamura looking up at the stadium and the roar, it's so good. It's so good. And then Umemiya and him in the red. Like in the red most of this episode, it was like blood pumping. I like that they established that Umemiya, some people can turn pressure into strength, and Umemiya is one of them. And that's terrifying. That is terrifying that you can take a pressure-filled moment and like pump yourself up with an adrenaline or dopamine or whatever he calls it and make that work to your advantage. That's terrifying, right? And I got so freaked out and nervous when he saw Shirakawa in his periphery. I'm like, no, we've worked so hard. But that's trauma for you. You know, it's trauma, psychological pain. I was like, oh, and I just want to tell Ochiai to shut up because he was like doubting him. And then, but Zono, my dude, Zono, Sawamura's supporter, telling Sawamura to pitch from the heart. He's like, pitch from the heart. That's what you're good at. It's like, I want this pitch to go good, and I hate that it's in and on a cliffhanger. It's so frustrating. But yeah, just saying go for it. And then yeah, now talking about the expectations. So, okay, I want to make note. Again, this is a different anime, but when Now was like, Umemiya, you've exceeded my expectations, all I could think about was Yuri on Ice. All I could think about in that moment was Yuri talking to Victor and being like, he always exceeds my expectations. I was like, shut up and go find yourself a BL series at this point, Umemiya. You and Now. Oh my god. I can't. And then, yeah, the cliffhanger. The darn cliffhanger. Ugh. These episodes were really good. I feel bad because I want to root for Ugumori. I love Now and Umemiya and Gachan and all of them. I want Seidou to win so badly, though. Mainly, I want Sawamura to be able to pitch and strike Umemiya out. My biggest fear is that they're going to get a hit and tie the game up or get a run ahead, and it's going to be up to the cleanup and the batters to win the game for Seidou. And then that's going to be another notch on Sawamura's esteem. I'm like, we've just been building it back up. I was like, show, mangaka. Some of you were like, the mangaka hates Sawamura. I'm like, he loves putting Sawamura through the ringer. That is for sure. And I know this show is 3 seasons long and it's still ongoing in the manga. And that's the point, is to keep building our protagonist up. We can't have our protagonist like get everything he wants in season 1. Then where would the story go? But I'm like, damn, you really put this poor kid through the ringer, you know? But I can't be mad at Furuya. I can't be mad at him. I can't be mad at Miyuki. I can't be mad at Ugumori. They're all precious gemstones, and I want to like put them in my pocket. But I can't be mad at Ochiai because he annoys me. And this bowl cut kid is just weird. He's just a weirdo. This bubblegum chewing bowl cut. I'm sure by this point you've told me his name in the comments, but if you haven't, please don't spoil me. I want to figure out his name, but these episodes are really good. I really, really enjoyed them. So I'm very curious to know whether this cliffhanger is going to end in something. What I would like more than anything is that after Sawamura has cheered on Furuya and told him he's the ace. I wish it would be completely out of character for Furuya though. But I wish that Furuya would cheer on Sawamura from the dugout just once. Like, just once. I would like that. But it's totally out of character for Furuya, because Furuya barely speaks, much less yell. So, it would be out of character for him, but everybody cheers on Sawamura, but hearing it from Furuya would be crazy. So, I'm going to add that to my Ace of the Diamond bucket list. Be like, I want Furuya to cheer Sawamura on from the dugout once, if any. So, yeah, I'm curious where this is going to go. I hate that it's a cliffhanger, but what can we do? So, I am curious to know your thoughts down below. Sorry that I had to end it on this episode, but just think, we'll start next episode and it'll be great. So, in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with episodes 19, 20, and 21 of Ace of the Diamond. Bye.